Rob?
Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's Rogues in the Batman universe, and today we are looking at the long-awaited DC Collectibles Red Hood and the Outlaws DC Comics New 52 Red Hood action figure. Finally, an actual proper Jason Todd Red Hood in his traditional outfit from DC Collectibles, not a custom, the real deal himself. There was a DC Universe Classics figure in the subscription line that was based off of the Grant Morrison pill head with the cape and white and purple outfit, and without getting all into that, every customizer out there in the world was using the Mr. Terrific body and turning it into a Red Hood figure. Mattel should have done that. We won't go into that, but an actual real Red Hood figure, a proper looking one. We will go through what we like, don't like about it in here in just a second, but it's nice to have an actual official one, not a copy, not a bootleg. I'd been saying for a while I wanted to make my own custom. I kept waiting, kept dragging my feet. Mr. Terrific, everybody had been buying him when he was pretty cheap on the store shelves, and then selling him on eBay and through other markets and spending $40–50 because people were using him as a body buck for a Red Hood custom. So I'm kind of glad I drug my feet, that I have now a proper figure, and now that my DC Collectibles action figures are starting to outgrow my Mattel, I'm glad that I have this one. So we will take a look at the box art here. Everything else is basically the same from the two other figures previously. Just a little bit of light there. Here's the side panel art, and he is sculpted by Steve Kewis, who recently did, if I pull up the package here, did the Earth 2 Batman action figure, and he's done a couple others as well. The side panel art, I just like these side panel arts on the box. I think they're really kind of cool. I've been cutting them out and scanning them into the computer. Don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but it might make a nice little type of a mural. The back on the package, basically everything's the same. The other figures in the wave are Arsenal, Starfire, and of course Red Hood Jason Todd himself. We'll raise the camera up here and we'll get a better look at the bio, adjust some light here. Says superhero turned renegade Jason Todd stands ready for action as a member of the Outlaws with a striking action figure based on the designs from his action-packed monthly comic book Red Hood and the Outlaws. Like I stated in Arsenal's review, and I forgot to do in Starfire's, these designs come from Kenneth Rocafort, who did the first designs of the Red Hood and the Outlaws in the New 52. So that is why they look the way that they do. Not that their look has changed much, but he was the one behind the designs for adding the lips into the helmet, and we'll get into that once we get a closer look at the figure himself. I cannot wait to get this guy out of package, so we won't waste any longer. Other than a quick little sideshow, and I'll show you some slides of Red Hood from the New 52. And then, kind of more importantly, people were asking about these blades. Where were they in the New 52? I'll show you some images from the comics where they came from. We'll be right back in a second. Don't go anywhere.
Here's a sketch rendering by Kenneth Rocafort of the early designs of Jason Todd Red Hood. Now here are the ever-elusive blades. They were very early in the Red Hood and the Outlaws run. And then here are some shots of just the way they would animate the lips to kind of show his expression, and more importantly on this shot here, just to add a little bit of character to the person behind the mask. Now back to the review.
Alright, we have Red Hood out of package, and it's finally nice to be able to have an actual official Red Hood, proper Red Hood looking figure, rather than the Mattel Grant Morrison pillhead version of the Red Hood figure. This video could be a little bit longer, as I'll probably have a few things to say about the figure overall. But what we do have for the first official Red Hood figure is actually a very, very good figure, and I'm very happy to have him in my collection. So no major complaints, just more design choices in constructing the action figure. I shouldn't say design choices. I love the design of the figure. This is actually my favorite design of Jason Hood Red Todd, but the way they executed the figure is a little bit left to be desired. But they nailed the New 52 look. Again, this is done from the design work of Kenneth Rocafort, who was on the first initial run of Red Hood and the Outlaws. So he was the one that gave Jason Todd the lips on the red helmet. So whether you like it or love it, he is the one that designed that feature, along with the bat logo that's on his chest. Let's get him in a more of a normal pose here so we can get a better look at the figure. Let's get in on the face sculpt as I'm getting everything bent back around. Maybe too far, Rob. There we go. I love the face. The thing that I like about the face, as I'm repositioning some light here, is that at least in the comics, now whether this translates into the action figure or not for you, that with just having the lips there, it gives a little bit of personality, where they can kind of take some liberties with Batman or Robin's eyes or Nightwing's or whomever's wearing a mask, and they kind of animate the eyes a little bit to show expression, and they kind of do that with the lips for the most part. You don't really see him with an open mouth. I don't believe you really ever see that, but maybe the smirk may be a little bit more, just to give a little bit more of character inside the mask of the person that's wearing it. So if he's happy or sad, you can kind of articulate that in comic book form rather than have to do it with a word bubble or something like that. So I'm a fan of the lips on the figure. I know not everyone is, but I think it adds just a little bit of extra personality to the character overall. The sculpt, again, on these Red Hood figures is fantastic. Right now I've said Earth 2 Batman is my favorite sculpted figure. Right behind Corey, Starfire, but this Red Hood figure is right up there for me. Just the bags, the crease in the pants, the way the gauntlets look, the jacket looks, even just the zipper detail that you see here. A lot of care and attention to detail has been put into these figures. Yes, it's kind of the windblown jacket look, which I know kind of bothers some. They just want more of a sterile or static look to the figure. But I'm going to have him with his guns posed, pointing at something. So, and I like just a little bit of liveliness into the jacket. The back may be a little bit too much, but we do get to see some of the detail, and that's something that DC Collectibles does not chintz out on. Mattel would probably just paint the back of it very gray, and that would be just about it. And again, the Mattel jacket wouldn't be animated, it'd be just pretty much flat and hanging down. So, to each their own. But even the detail in the boots, and I know we're not onto articulation yet, but what I like, if I can get my stupid hands out of the way, is where the ankle bends, you see just the extra detail into the socket part that continues into the design of the boot. So I think that's really pretty cool. Very tactile, militaristic, I'm saying that word horribly wrong, militaristic, there's the word, boots and combat fatigues. The design on the gauntlets is really nice. Even the gun, I believe this is, I don't know my guns that well, but it kind of reminds me of a Desert Eagle. I might be wrong. The Desert Eagle I think is a little bit bigger, so you can let me know what gun maybe this is actually supposed to be, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. The pouches are done very well for the gun holsters. The blades, the thing that just has everybody kind of up in arms, or a what the hell kind of expression. I've seen it a couple times, and you saw in the images right there from the comic book that I was able to find some, and I remember seeing them and thought, oh, that's okay. Something else that Jason Red Hood can do is pull these mythical swords out of his chest with the all-cast that he's connected with. Since Talia resurrected him from the grave, he has this spiritualist thing going on with the character, and then he was part of the all cast to help in with his training so he can pull these blades out of himself. So I think that's kind of what these come in to play. This would have been a awesome accessory, something that you could clip in, or the Young Justice Robin has a little clip-on hologram piece that you could put on his wrist. That's what this should have been, as a clip-on to set on here. So if you really wanted to have him in, you know, Billy Badass mode, you slap these blades on, and it would look pretty cool. I mean, they do look cool. I'm not discounting that the way the blades look, but if I'm having him stand on a shelf and trying to pose him with other figures, I want to get somebody in close to him, these blades are constantly in the way. I mean, you can't fold. I mean, they're articulated blades, but you can't get them out of the way. I mean, you can rotate him out, but now his hand is backwards. He does turn at the gauntlet there, or at the wrist. So you can get him out of the way, but it's just a pain in the butt, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I could turn him back. This is going to be one of the first figures that I actually modify a little bit. Normally I'm like, this is how the figure comes. I'm going to leave it. I may not necessarily like it, but I just don't want to look at these all the time. And I've seen people just pop them off. They kind of slip off. Let me zoom in here so you can kind of see this a little better. These little pegs, I could probably do it on screen, but I'm going to have my hands in the way. But the gauntlet, if I can get it rotated just right so you can see this, and again, get my hand out of here. It's about as close as I can get. Maybe. Is it going to cooperate? Alright, you see the space right in here? Kinda. This will separate out, so I put something in like an X-Acto knife or something, I'll be able to open up this piece and the blade will pop out. But this little hole, this little round piece right here, this is what the blade is actually attached to, so it will come out and it's going to leave a hole here, 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 and there. So I've seen some people take the X-Acto knife and cut out where this hole is and then have to get paint to match. So I don't know if I'm going to leave the holes there. The holes may not bother me, because if I decide to put the blades back on for whatever reason, I could do, they'll just be these weird looking holes, but it'll be a heck of a lot better than having the blades on. I just really, my biggest knock to this figure, these blades should have been a clip-on accessory. Maybe it would have made the gauntlets just a little bit bigger, but I think everybody would have been fine with that, because what are we generally going to do if it was a clip-on accessory? We'd have put it on once or twice, and that would have been about it, because we just want the Jason Hood, Red Hood figure. Did I say Jason Hood? Jason Todd Red Hood figure, the way we've always wanted him, and that's just with his guns. So that's the only big knock I have. I don't want to dwell too much on it. It is what it is, but even if I decide to not take this off, I have an official Red Hood action figure from DC Collectibles that I am completely happy with. Design-wise, the way he looks, I love the helmet, the jacket, everything about this figure I absolutely love. So if you're a Batman fan, there's no reason to not pick this guy up. The blades will be easy enough to get off, and I may do a separate video of that. I'm not going to do it for the purpose of this review. We'll just keep it as it is. So now that I've rambled on long enough about the blades and just some of the aesthetics of the figure, I think it's an absolutely beautifully sculpted figure, and out of the line, this is my favorite figure. I know I was kind of gushing over how beautiful Corey looked as a sculpted figure, but I think my love for all things Robin and Jason Todd, being a former Robin, and then finally getting a Red Hood figure is probably clouding my judgment a little bit, but I don't care. So we'll go on to the more important things with the articulation of the figure. So again, I apologize for the length of the video. The head is on a very, very good ball joint, and he gets a lot of articulation out of the head, much like the Earth 2 Batman and even Roy. So he has the best articulated head out of the bunch, can get in a lot of different looks, and has a really, really nice tilt back to be able to get his head to look really high, and down not so much. but I'm okay with that, and you can get a little bit of personality out of the head with a little tilt like, am I going to shoot you? I think I will. So moving on to the arms. The arms go up. This is where I'm a little, not upset, but I wish the arms could have gone up a lot higher than what they are. This is about it. I think just due to where the jacket hits everything, you really can't get the arms to go completely straight out as if he were going to be a gunfighter. I'm going to use green arrow here off to the side where you can put the arms almost completely straight up. Well, not even that one's going to work really well. Maybe one more figure. We've got Nightwing over here. Is he going to let me down? See, I'll almost get like the complete 90 degrees. So Nightwing's arm is a little bit straighter than what Red Hood's is. So that's a little disappointing. People that are into ACBA, this is not going to be a Red Hood that's going to get you a lot of dynamic poses. You can get him in some, but that's as far as the arms go up. So you can rotate them. They will go all the way around, so you can get up a little bit. Now this pose isn't too bad at all, but as far as getting them completely straight out, you're not going to get. Has another one of the weird bends at the elbow, and that's about it due to the way the arm is sculpted. Again, my hand's in the way here of a light source. So it's more on a rocking motion, so it only goes up just ever so slightly, and it also, I thought it did, nope. So it just bends a little bit right there. It rotates at the gauntlet and also rotates at the hand, which is nice that you can at least get the blades out of the way so they're underneath the arm. Again, this one baffles me. You can tell, I've seen Pharaoh Black's review. This is a separate piece. If you see his review, he actually popped this off, and there's like an inner dome piece in here, so it wouldn't rotate. But this figure should have had a waist swivel. These are two separate pieces from top to bottom here, right at the belt, and you can kind of even see where the separation is on film. This should have been a waist swivel. I'm perfectly fine with not having an ab crunch there. I don't want to break up the sculpt in the armor part of the vest here. But yeah, that's really disappointing that it doesn't have a waist swivel. So again, I'm very, very happy to have the figure. He's a beautiful looking figure, but he should have had a waist swivel. Has a T-jointed legs. Can get into the splits very, very well. Let's back the camera out a little bit here, Rob. So no QC problems there. A single bend at the knee. No turn at the boot or anything like that, as his pants are completely sculpted all the way down to where like these shin guards are, but has a really nice articulated ankle, and my up is a little stiff on this one. So all in all, I really do like this figure. Again, I definitely think it's a recommend, but for the first Red Hood figure that DC Collectibles is producing, I think they missed the mark just a tad. I think the articulation could have been just in a couple spots a little bit more. At least the waist swivel should have been there, and then the shoulders, they probably should have fashioned some way for them to go up. But again, the blades. So I'm going to get off that kick. Let's do some comparisons, and some comparisons I've been dying to do since the New 52 action figures started coming out. You can feel the tension in the room. The Heroes versus Villains Batman, which is basically the same as the Justice League Batman, just a metallic, next to the Red Hood figure. They look very, very good together, as it is still part of like kind of the Justice League, the primary line. The two figures complement each other very, very well, having Batman and Red Hood. And of course, Batman is taller. I had his head tilted down a little bit. But side by side, the figures look great together. It's going to be really, really cool to be able to put all of the former Robins together and Batman and have a nice looking Batman family from DC Collectibles. Let's take a look at another one here. Okay, this is the Nightwing we currently have. You know, I've seen people put these two figures together, and Nightwing's head's a little bit bigger, he's a little bit more stockier, and just a little more bulky overall. And these are this is due to the fact that this is the Greg Capullo series. We are getting a Justice League or a DC Collectibles proper Nightwing figure, so he will be in the same proportion size as this Red Hood. So they do look okay together, but just the two heads, the Capullo head is much bigger, so the proportion sizes are off a little bit. So I've seen people have been posing the figures together, and it's kind of what we have to work with right now. I believe in the latter part of November, or the beginning of November, I think. I can't remember where Nightwing is and when Red Robin comes out, but we will get a skinnier version of Nightwing that's more of what I would call the standard Nightwing and not the Capullo series. But for the time being, this is going to be really cool that I could put them side by side together. And Red Hood and Damian, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of this Damian figure. Even though he's not part of the New 52, technically, he fits in perfectly with the New 52 figures, as this is pretty much how he was. So having the ability to pose the Robins together, we have all of them but one, technically two if you count the Justice League Nightwing that's going to be coming out. So here's something that I'm kind of eager to do. I can at least get 3/4 of it set up right here at the moment. We're very close to pulling off issue number 10 of Batman and Robin. The title was called War of the Robins. This is a pose I see on a lot of Robin Facebook pages of all the Robins looking off into the sunset as Batman was fighting someone. So the only one we're missing is Tim Drake, Red Robin, and then the proper Nightwing, not the Capullo one, but this is still really close, and all three look really good together. I can't wait to get Tim Drake, Red Robin in here to be able to complete my new 52 Robin setup. So I'm really cool to have this. Let's take a look at one more group of Outlaws. Alright, here are the three Outlaws together, and of course we knew this team would look good together because that's how they look in the comics. It's going to be a kind of a fun little thing to decide where I'm going to pose them at. Am I going to have them all three together, kind of off to their side, away from the Justice League set, or am I going to kind of pair them off with kind of like their mentors? Maybe is she going to stand with the Teen Titans? Am I going to have a Red Hood with the Bat family, and is Roy going to stand next to Oliver? So that's a fun problem to have with your action figures, that you can kind of mix them up and do whatever you want. I think this is a really good solid wave from DC Collectibles. I definitely recommend it, and again, it's finally wonderful to have a proper Red Hood Jason Todd action figure. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Today we've been taking a look at Red Hood from Red Hood and the Outlaws, New 52 action figures from DC Collectibles. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues and the Batman Universe, signing off saying we will see you guys next time.